That's a tough introduction to follow. Thank you, Fidan. Definitely appreciate the context and the introduction. So as Fidan mentioned, this is part three. Part one, I hosted where we kind of went through the 30-day auto SOP, as well as how to design SEO packages that can be sold through Search Atlas. Part two was led by Laura, where she covered the sales to client management handoff, how to set up a kickoff call, how to run those kickoff calls, and also aligning your KPIs for success. So if you guys haven't seen those two videos, definitely check them out on the SEO Theory Facebook group in the Drive folder. There's a whole replay of all of them, including the accompanying slide decks. This particular session is going to be talking about, well, getting the work done, right? Creating the reports in Search Atlas, delegating the work, making sure we have the right processes in place to actually execute these campaigns. So let's go ahead and get started with this. We are going to share the recording. We are going to share the slides. So definitely look out for those in the community chat as well later this week. Okay. So starting things off, we're going to cover what are the access points that you're going to need. So for all auto projects that you're running through Search Atlas, as well as for the report builder, you absolutely need Google Search Console, Google Analytics 4, Google Business Profile if it's a local business, and access to the CMS like WordPress, Webflow, Shopify, etc. On the right-hand side, you have some optional items that we do recommend getting access to, which would be your Google Tag Manager, the hosting provider of the website, the Google Ads account, and the Facebook Ads account. The items on the left are going to help you with the implementation. The items on the right are going to help you predominantly with the reporting across all channels. So definitely get access to all of this as soon as you sign up the client, right? Okay. So now that you have access, how do you connect that to Search Atlas, right? So the first thing you're going to do is log into your account. And at the top right of the screen, you're going to see this settings button. When you click the settings button, you're then going to toggle over to integrations. You're going to select, let's say, view and connect accounts, and you're going to hit connect new GSC account. You're going to do the same thing for GA4, the same thing for Google Business Profile, the same thing for Facebook Meta Ad Manager, and the same thing for Google PPC or AdWords accounts. So that's all it takes. It's a simple single sign-on. 3 clicks, everything gets imported. If you already have an existing account and you've added a new web property to it, then just hit the refresh button and it'll pull the fresh updated accounts. So if you have 93 in here, you add a new account, makes it 94, hit refresh and you'll get the 94th account imported. Okay. So that's going to be the step-by-step process here. Hit the drop-down selector, toggle to integrations, view and connect all of them, follow the SSO instructions, and you can refresh as needed. There's no limit to the number of email accounts you can set up, right? So if you have 10 unique Gmail accounts with access to different accounts, no problem. You can add all of those accounts in one click. We are going to be changing the UX of this slightly, so it's a little bit easier and more intuitive going forward. But this is coming soon, but the workflows are exactly the same. So this new UX will just replace the existing one, but it's the same exact steps to follow. Okay. Now, step 2 is going to be to go over to the Google Search Console Performance and Analytics tool. So we're just going to toggle over here. This is where the tool is listed. It's called GSC Performance. And you'll land on a screen that looks like this. From this section, you're going to hit Manage Sites. When you hit Manage Sites, a little slider will appear that'll show you all of the domains you have access to. By default, the world is going to be activated. But what we're saying here is if the client's in the US, activate the US. If they're in Canada, activate Canada, so on and so forth. So turn locations on or off based off of where the client is located in their primary markets. Then hit confirm and continue to import the appropriate location. And then at the top here, you have the selection to say, show me clients worldwide, Canada, US, et cetera, et cetera. Once the GSC property appears, it'll look like this. So for example, Search Atlas, and then there will be a button that says Connect Google Analytics 4. So then you're just going to hit that connect button. A little pop-up will appear. You'll search for the property, select the property, hit update settings, and then it'll switch from connect to GA4 enabled. And that's what's going to create a bridge between Google Search Console and Google Analytics 4. So you can have much more granular performance metrics and attribution modeling. Okay. Now, before you can use the master report builder, there are a few individual reports that you need to set up. So the first report that you're going to want to set up is your keyword rank tracker. So you're going to go to keywords, and it's the third tool listed here. It's the keyword rank tracker. You'd plug in the website. You can specify if this is going to be the domain level tracking or the target page tracking. And then you can specify a precise micro location. I'm seeing a lot of local businesses leave the location set to the United States, whereas typically you'd want to set a state, city, county, or province level when you're tracking local results, right? So all you have to do here is actually just type in the location. So for example, we type in Orlando, we'll get Orlando or Orlando County, we'll get all these relational areas in Orlando, and we just have to select the right one, right? So that's all you're doing is adding the website, specifying the location, and then deciding if you want to do daily, weekly, monthly, or a custom frequency for rank tracking. Generally speaking, we see most people setting this up as monthly to preserve their quotas and have good month-over-month reporting. If you're looking for any other frequency, just hit the drop-down selector and adjust the frequency to whatever cadence makes the most sense for you guys. Now, once you're in a report, so let's just use this as an example. Say we set up a campaign and we're hitting the edit button. So here is where we're selecting daily, weekly, monthly, or custom. And then we have the option to manage the keywords. So when you have a project set up, we're going to pull in keywords that the site is ranking for. So you can very quickly add them to your rank tracker. You can bulk select keywords, you can search for keywords, or if you have your own list, just copy and paste your list into this section here. If the client is multi-location, then you just scroll down and hit add new location, right? And then again, you can specify if this is going to be country, state, city, county, etc. So you don't need to create 10 different reports for one client with 10 different locations. You create one report and just add additional locations below the fold and apply the keywords for each location that you want to track. So pretty straightforward in setting that up. Once the report is set up, this is what it'll look like, where you'll start tracking your results as of the day the report is run. You'll have the current position, the SERP features, the volume, and the different locations set here. And you can click into each listing to view the day over day or month over month reports as well. We are going to be releasing a feature very soon that will allow you to edit the competitors that you're tracking your performance against. So you'll be able to come in here and specify, show my visibility against competitors A, B, and C, and plot that over a monthly threshold so we can report that to our clients as well. But just as an example, if you click into a keyword, you'll see your refresh based off or the position changes based off the refresh. You'll see your position change chart, and you can run a keyword report from here as well. Cool. Now, the next thing you're going to have to set up is your local heat map. You're only going to have to set this up if you're working with a local business, obviously. So that's going to be here on the local SEO tools. It's going to be the first thing that you land on, which is called My Businesses. If you already have the integration set up with GMB, all you have to do is hit import from Google Business Profile. It'll show you all of the accounts that you have, either search for the accounts or manually select them. If you don't have GBP integration set up, then you can search for the business by name, by place ID, or by the GBP URL directly, right? Once that's set up, you're going to land on a screen that will look like this, and you'll hit view. It'll take you to the property listing. And just going back to the spreadsheet or to the presentation really quickly, it'll look like this. And then you have some settings of how you can build these maps, right? So once the report is connected, select the business, enter the keyword separated by commas, and then decide if you want to track circle grids or rectangle grids. For each setting, or each type of grid rather, I have the recommended settings here. So if you're doing circle maps, maybe you'd want to do 4 to 6 layers, 2 to 20 mile radius, refreshing it every month or as needed, and running the report at 9 o'clock in the morning. So if we go back in here and we say, I want to track party rentals near me, I'm deciding, do I want a circle or a rectangle? If I'm sticking with the circle, then I'm selecting my layers. In this example, I'm going to use 5. And I'm adjusting my radius from 1 mile to 10 miles. So I have a good coverage over the service area. We can adjust the miles and the radius and the layers. The layers, when adjusted, are adjusting the density of the pins that are populated, right? So if we set a 10-mile radius and we only do 2 layers, then we're going to have so many gaps in our report that it's not going to be super useful, right? Which is why we're recommending 4 to 6, depending on how big the radius is. Whereas conversely, if you set 6 layers and you set the mile radius to only 2, it's a little bit too dense and it's kind of overkill, right? So you kind of want to play around with this based off the adjustments, and then decide your crawl frequency. If you're doing this for prospecting, just run it once. If it's an active client, we recommend bi-weekly or monthly, and leave that crawl time to 9 a.m. If you're curious about how the quotas are calculated, hit the edit button on an existing report and go monthly, for example, right? And then we'll say, okay, edit. For a circle report with 5 layers, tracking 10 miles, refreshing the report every month, I'm going to consume 95 quota by doing that, right? So this is how you figure out, what is my quota balance? For context, the Pro plan, the $399 Pro plan for Search Atlas comes with 13,500 monthly pins. So that's actually quite generous depending on, how many keywords you're tracking and the radius of those keywords. So maybe just play around with this a little bit until you find the right threshold and the right coverage or circumference. Cool. Okay. The next thing you're going to have to do is save a project in the Site Explorer. So the Site Explorer is just going to be up top here. It's listed as Site Explorer. If you're on the Pro plan, you can add sites in bulk. You can upload up to 20 sites at a time. So you'll just copy and paste the URLs, specify the location, specify if it's a domain, subdomain, target page, or subfolder, plug in your list, and then hit mark all as saved projects. So that way these projects can be added into your report builder. If you're doing this one site at a time, when you run a report on a site, you'll land on a screen that will look like this. And then you're just going to hit that saved button or save to projects button, so that one property can be added to the report builder as well. Okay. Sweet. Now let's go down here. Okay, so those are all of the setup process, right? Just to recap, you're connecting your first party data, you're building your keyword rank tracker, you're building your local heat map, and you're saving the project from the Site Explorer, either one project or multiple projects. From there, you're then going to navigate over to the report builder. And the report builder is going to be here. It's under more, and it's called Report Builder. So we'll just open that up. All you're going to have to do is plug in the website that you're working on, right? Once you plug in the website here, this is going to pop up. You're going to land on a screen that looks like this. It's going to ask you to fill in your integrations. So things that you're looking for, one is that you've selected the right location. 2 is that you've adjusted your date range. You can do custom date ranges or pick a pre-canned filter for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. And then you're going to decide which integrations you want to include in this report. The first one on that list is an AI summary. That is essentially a executive AI that's providing you with a detailed summary in plain English of what is going on in this report, module by module, including an overview report of the whole report. The Site Explorer, you're setting that up for the project, you're adding that. And these 2 sections here, auto SEO and auto orders and tasks, these are optional. So the auto SEO is going to bring in your report card. The report card will be presented in the report, which is essentially just like your before and after, right? So it's this module saying, what was your score before auto? What was your score after auto? The section for orders and tasks, that is going to be providing the user with a Notion board, the project management board, that is essentially a record of all of the actions that Auto has taken for that property. So how many Google business posts have been done, how much schema has been added, how many page titles have been done, etc. It's just a task level board describing all the actions that Auto has taken. And those 2 are optional. Everything else, use at your discretion. You have analytics, Search Console, Facebook ads, Google ads, your local heat map, your local rank tracker. Those are all things you can turn on or off. Step 2 is going to be your scheduled emails. You can have the tool send the reports directly to the client every week, every month, or every quarter and specify the date. Or you can set this up to email the reports to an internal team member to review the report before forwarding the report over to the client, right? So if this is your first time using the report builder, my recommendation would be to have the recipient be an internal team member who acts as a QA layer to say, is this report set up correctly? Is the data looking good? Do I want to forward this to my client? If in the future you've reviewed the reports and you're like, hey, these are great, then you can remove the internal approval layer and just put the client email address directly. If the accounts are white labeled, then currently the emails will come from a gray label email, which is at searchenginelabs.com. We own that domain, but there's no website spun up. It's just used specifically for white labeled reporting. If the account is not white labeled, then the emails will come from Search Atlas. Cool. And then the last step here is going to be to select which layout you want. You can test the default layout, or you can hit custom layout and build your own template for what the report should look like. And each section in that template is going to give you the ability to customize all of the modules. So you'll see here that everything's perforated, meaning you can drag it and drop it. You can delete sections. And as you hit each one of these integrations, a dropdown will show up where it'll show you what are the metrics or data points you can port into this report from each channel. So again, just as an example, this is what the report looks like. We have our AI summary for the Site Explorer. We have the AI overview explaining the whole report. And then we have a channel by channel breakdown of all of the different things that are going on in this report. The AI explanations are configured to be good news only. So it's not going to come in here and say, hey, your performance is tanking, you should fire your agency, et cetera. It's meant to review the data and highlight positive trends. And again, you can turn that AI summary on or off as needed. So this report is configurable and customizable. When you hit configure and you go to layout and you go to create your own layout, you hit confirm. Now everything becomes available to you. So for example, for Google Analytics, if I need to show key events, I just drag that, I drop it, and now the new key events show up. If I don't want them to see it, I remove it, right? If I need to add in a custom text or a link to another report or an image, a screenshot, an iframe, I would use custom text, add custom text or HTML, and either type it, add a link, add an image, add whatever you want, and use this as your bridge between other tools that aren't native integrations. Cool. And then once you build a template and you're happy with the format of the template, then you can hit save this template for future use and call it like standard client reporting template for local SEO or whatever you want to call it, right? And then that way it'll appear here. So each time you onboard a new client, you'll say use standard template 1 and follow the report parameters for that particular location. Cool. Okay. That's just covering this. So building the template and sharing it. Now, in terms of how do you share these reports, you actually have several options of how to share the reports. One is obviously the most straightforward, which is just using the scheduled emails, right? Say every week, every month, every quarter, send the email to this person on this day of the week, right? So that's the easiest way to share these reports. Option 2 is to download the report. When you download the report, it will actually create a non-branded PDF. So there's no logos of Search Atlas. There's actually no logos of your brand either. It's just a clean, non-branded report highlighting everything that you've configured in that tool. Option 3 is to share it as a public URL. So that link, the user does not need to be logged in. They do not need to have an account. If you're on a white label plan, the link is a white labeled link to your agency site. The user will be able to see the report exactly as it is. They won't be able to edit anything within the report, and they won't be able to see any other tools within the dashboard. So that's also a super clean way to share those reports. Or you can use the iframe code and take that URL or that iframe and put it on a custom reporting engine or whatever tool you guys may be using. Cool. The last way to do this is as a child account. So what you can do here is you can create child accounts in Search Atlas. So you'll hit the drop down, you'll hit agency settings, you'll configure your white label account. And once the white label account is set up, you'll effectively start inviting customers to have their own Search Atlas account nested under your account. So that way the user can log in and out as they see fit in a branded dashboard experience and view their reports and their orders without being exposed to what the rest of the agency's up to, right? So that's also another way to share it. It requires a little bit extra work, but it's a cool way to, lower the dependency on emails back and forth. Okay. Cool. Now, just as a recap, we have covered the auto SOP. So here, this is a link to our knowledge base. If you guys haven't seen our knowledge base, it's on Intercom. It'll walk you through how to install auto, how to use the quotas, how to set everything up. There's also a Loom video here that I provided for how to install WordPress, auto on WordPress, and a link to our installation guide to install auto on any CMS. This is going to be the 30-day SOP that we covered in session 1. And right here at the top is the replay of that session. So if you're curious about how should I be using auto, how should I be delegating tasks within my team, this is the right SOP for you guys to use. And this is the one that helps you create packages. Excuse me. And then we do have a full knowledge base for all of our tools. This one here is for the Content Genius that we're going to be talking about as well. That again will show you how to use the tool, how to set up folders, how quotas are consumed, things like that. So definitely make sure you're checking out our knowledge base on Intercom. There should be a link to it directly inside your auto projects as well. Okay. Now we're going to look at, well, how should we get started and what are the different things that we should be assigning out to our team members? So the first thing is keyword research. I would recommend assigning that out either to an internal SEO strategist or to a really well-trained VA that understands SEO and can follow instructions very directly. For content, I would assign that to an internal writer or an internal editor for review. The AI is going to be creating the content. The writer is going to be tweaking it or reviewing it. Local SEO, authority building, both of these items can be done either with an internal SEO or well-trained VA. And report review, I would recommend having the account managers be the ones kind of reviewing the reports before sending them out. Okay, so how should we start thinking about doing keyword research? I provided a few different options here, but this is the most straightforward way, right? So really, say you're writing content or you're working on a personal injury attorney in Las Vegas. Really, all you have to do is Google the phrase, truck accident lawyer in Las Vegas, right? So let's just do this live. We'll Google this phrase. We'll skip these ads, and then we'll look at, who's number 1, who's number 2, who's number 3. So I see this guy here is number 1. So all I'm doing is taking that link to that page that I can empirically see is ranking number 1 for the keywords I care about in the market I care about. And then I'm going to go over to the Site Explorer tool. I'm going to plug in that URL and it's going to set to target page instead of domain. I'm going to hit search. I'm going to land on the report and I'm just going to toggle over to keywords. So now in literally 5 seconds, I'm seeing 125 potential keywords that are exactly what I want to be focusing on for my client, right? So now I'm just selecting a handful of keywords, like maybe in my top 3 or top 5, and saying, hey, these are the best keywords based off position of competitor, monthly search volume, cost per click, and keyword difficulty. I could then add that to a list and save that for a project later, just kind of compiling my research. I could add that to my rank tracker for the project that I set up, or I can simply hit create article and start writing content about those keywords immediately. So my recommendation is if you're still doing keyword research, this is the easiest way to do it. Just Google one keyword, find the top ranking site, plug in their page, get their keyword strategy, and cherry pick your top 3 to 5 based off the ranking factors provided here. And just repeat that process for all core landing pages. The other way to do it is what I would consider a little bit more manual, right? Where you would go into the keyword tool up top, you go to keyword research, you'd plug in your keyword, you'd specify your location. Again, you can add precise micro locations and override the selectors. And then you'd go from keyword to review, to related keywords, to build your list, and then repeat that process over and over and over again, right? This is how most people are doing keyword research. You can do it within Search Atlas, but it is not the most efficient way to do keyword research. I would recommend option one, or simply using the content planner tool to make your life a whole lot easier. Option three would be to use the keyword gap tool. That's also going to be listed under keywords and then under keyword gap, where you're going to plug in your client's site or target page and the competitor's domain or target pages. And then you're going to land on a screen that will show you what is your keyword universe in relation to the sites you're competing with. What are keywords that all of your competitors are ranking for that you're not ranking for? And when you hover over these keywords, at a glance, you'll be able to see what type of content is it? Is it a homepage, service page, location page, blog post, etc.? And then you have some top level selectors for what are keywords in common, what are keyword opportunities, what are unique keywords, etc. So this is actually a really good way to do, very comprehensive keyword analyses and do this on the site-wide level. And you can export these into spreadsheets and kind of work with the data that way. So definitely check out this tool. I think it's underutilized, but it is very quick and easy to get kind of the right answers. You can also set position filters and saying, instead of showing me all keywords, just show me keywords that are in the top 10. So I know these are the ones that are bringing in the most traffic, right? So regardless of how you do it, there's several ways to do keyword research in Search Atlas. The real purpose of this is to identify the top, let's say 3 to 5 keywords for each of your money pages that really represent the transactions of the website, right? I wouldn't necessarily use this for supplemental content strategy. For that, I would use the topical map tool instead. This keyword research exercise is done mainly to make sure that you're selecting the right keywords for the most important pages on your site, also known as your money pages. Okay. The next section here is actually going to look at the content tools. So we're going to pop over in here. We're going to go to content and we're going to go to Content Genius. Now, as you'll recall from our auto implementation video, the first thing you need to be doing before you use this tool is building a folder for the account in question. So you hit the drop down, you hit create folder, and then the options will pop up. I'm going to pull open the Search Atlas folder really quickly. Okay. So here's what I'm looking for in folders, right? Like, is the folder named properly? Do we have the right website URL? What is the purpose of this website? What is the niche we're in? What is the audience we're writing for? And then providing the AI with context about the brand. When was it founded? What services does it offer? What market is it in, etc. And then fine tuning your AI parameters, picking your engine, picking your prompts, reviewing your metadata, reviewing your exclusionary phrases, your images, your business information, your links. So this is super important to set up before you use the Content Genius. So please make sure you're setting this up. Now, what is the use case that we're trying to do here? The use case here is twofold, but the primary, like the first thing you should do is take a list of all of the money pages on the client site. So maybe the client has 10 money pages, right? They do personal injury, auto accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, etc. So get a list of those pages. Ask the client to prioritize those pages for you. Which ones are the most important? Okay. Starting with the most important page, import that page into the Content Genius, leverage the keyword research that you did in the previous task, and plug in those keywords and specify the location that the client's in, right? So you're going to come in here, import the URL, plug in your target keywords, and specify your precise micro-location. Then you're going to hit create, and it will import your content. So here's an example of this being done on the Search Atlas site, where we've imported the enterprise SEO software page. We've simply defined the keyword as enterprise SEO software. And here we have a sample of the content that's on our site and the current content score in relation to our competitors. So that's all we're doing here. We're then going to land on a screen that looks like this. We're going to select our additional keywords by either manually typing them in. So if we're on the screen, we can hit add keywords, specify those keywords, specify the location. Alternatively, we can use the suggestions that Auto's providing for us right here, or we can hit all suggested keywords, get a report on the difficulty, the intent, the cost per click, the trend line, And then we'll see our related keyword section here. So all I have to do is select my additional 2 to 3 permutations of keywords I'm trying to rank for. Okay. Just as a recap, what this tool is doing is it's scraping the content of the top 20 sites for the keyword in the market specified, showing you their authority, their content score, their schema modules, and doing this entity correlation analysis to understand the gap between our content and our peers. So now you have a few options of how to proceed, right? You can obviously have a human do this. You can assign this to a writer and say, hey, writer, take this page, leverage the data on the right, and rework the content to make sure that this page is hitting a really high content score. So that's option one, doing it manually. Option two is rewriting this entire page using AI. So in this example, we'll hit write with AI, and then we're going to specify, is this a blog post, a landing page, or a press release? This example is a landing page. Option two is to say, do I want to import my outline? So what's already on that page, do I want to import that structure? Or do I want to have the AI build a new structure for me? In this example, we just imported the outline. So now what we're telling the engine to do is to rewrite this structure, but this time while we're writing it, seed in all of those entities that we've extracted from our competitors here. So we can delete entities we don't agree with. We can add more entities we want to enhance. But this is what we're doing. We're telling the tool, rewrite this structure, but as you're writing it, apply as many of these entities that we've extracted from our competitors. Here, we're saying don't mention our competitors by name, so we can add additional exclusions. We're deciding if we want FAQs, if we want the AI to come up with it, if we want to write it ourselves, or if we want to leverage the people also ask and autocomplete search suggestions to have us enhance our factual density of this page. We can also add additional internal links and just plug those in and specify the anchor text. And everything else would have been set up on the folder level, right? So this workflow gives you a high degree of control of reworking and re-architecting your money pages before you let the AI step in and do the heavy lifting, right? So please use this page or this tool, especially if you're using auto and you're like, hey, I see there's this missing keyword section in auto, and auto's telling me to add these entities into the page, but I don't want to just put them in there as a div table with the display none tag. So instead of doing it that way, leverage this tool, right? Import the page, import the outline, define the keywords, and have the AI rewrite the content so the entities are visible on the page and included within the context of the actual copy. So this is a very important way to portion of the strategy. My recommendation, again, is start with your money pages, prioritized, and depending on your bandwidth, just work on as many pages as you can each month, starting with the most important for the client. Okay, and this is just kind of walking through the different steps and options of like all the different settings you should consider using. Option two is essentially saying, look, I don't want to use the AI to rewrite the content. I want to take the content that's here, but I just want to add more entities to it. So you have two options of how to proceed. One is going to be the terms assistant. So if you click that button, it takes about 10 to 15 seconds, but this overlay will appear. And the overlay will essentially allow you to seed in these entities into the existing copy without having to rewrite it. And it's just giving you suggestions of saying, hey, do you want to add search engine optimization here? Do you want to add it here? Do you want to add it here, et cetera? So now all you're doing is accepting or dismissing where these suggestions are being placed, and you're adding entities into the copy without having to rewrite it. You can do the same thing with link suggestions. If you go to link suggestions and you go AI insert links, an overlay will appear and it'll show you logical placements where you can add internal links into your existing content without having to rework it significantly. So either have the AI rewrite the content for you or use the terms assistant and link assistant to get entities and internal links into the page without having to rework it. Cool, and that's what's being presented here. And the last thing is metadata. So if you need new metadata, just click the metadata button up top, hit AI generate, and then the tool will give you a few different titles and meta descriptions that you can select from. Just find the one that you like, hit use this suggestion, and it'll apply it for you from there. Okay, cool. Now let's switch over to local SEO. There's a few different sections in here, and we kind of want to cover those. So I'm going to pop into auto. I'm going to go into a test site really quickly. click into this, and we're going to scroll down to our Google Business Profile Optimization section. So the first thing we're going to look at is optimizing the profile. So if this website has multiple GBPs, you're just going to hit the drop-down selector and select which location you're trying to optimize. We're going to show you issues. So for example, if you have unanswered reviews, that would show up. If you have questions that haven't been responded to, that would show up. And you just click it and it'll take you to that particular section. You can delete images, you can add new images, you can upload images. Essentially, the idea here is to go through each section of the profile and see if there's anything you missed, anything you can enhance, or anything you can expand upon to make the GBP more robust for the target services and target locations. You're pushing all of your changes through here. Once you make the change, you're hitting the deploy button. Once you've deployed everything and you're confident that the profile is now optimized, you're then going to lock your GBP, which is going to actually prevent unauthorized changes to the information in your Google Business Profile. So Google oftentimes makes changes to GBPs, or they'll look at local guides and say, hey, this person suggested that your hours are wrong, without verifying that information with you. So this way, if you lock it, Auto will actually prevent those changes from being applied to the GBP for you. So it's kind of a safety proof. So optimize your profile, deploy your changes, and then lock it, and then you're done with this task. So that's just all we're showing you here. Next thing to do is going to be to set up a schedule of Google Business posts. So when we have a client on board, especially if it's a local client, we know Google Business posting is important, but it's very time consuming. So what we would do here is we'd come in and we'd hit add posts in bulk. Again, we'd select the location we're posting for. Then we're just going to specify how many posts we want to create. We're going to say, are there going to be updates, offers, or events? We'll say these are updates. We want to post them separately. We want the first one to be published today. And then we want to create a cadence of drip sequences. So every 3 days, every 5 days, every 7 days, we want Auto to release a new post on our behalf. We can have the AI create the image by prompting it, or write the content by prompting it, or we can select upload and write your own for both. If we hit preview, it'll then take us to an editor where we can upload the image, we can generate descriptions, we can plug in new descriptions, we can add our call to action, like call us or learn more or book today, and we can specify all of these different things. We can review our scheduling date. So the idea is that we're building 1, 2, or 3 months worth of posts for our clients. We're reviewing them, we're QAing them, and then we're allowing the system to fulfill them based off the drip cadence that we specified on step 1. So this is a really great way to continue having traction in local SEO without spending a lot of time doing it. So definitely set that up and utilize that particular tool. These are just the steps of how to do it. Just kind of walking you through all of these. We're doing the same thing with question and answers. So you can come in here, go to question and answers, say, I want to AI generate them. Again, let's just do 5. We can have the AI write the question and the answer, or we can write our own question and write our own answer. It's going to take us to an editor where we can plug in the question, plug in the answer, and review the schedule date, right? So I'll do one on the 3rd, one on the 10th, one on the 17th, one on the 21st, and one on the 31st. So in just a few minutes, I can create a month, 2 months, 3 months worth of these question and answers and have them drip out for me from there. Once they get posted, you'll see here, was this created by Auto? Was this created by a user? If it's created by Auto, you just hit view. It'll take you to the profile where you'll be able to see that the owner asked the question and the owner replied to the answer as well. Okay, and that's just what I'm describing here. Bulk, question and answer, schedule, date, approve, and you're good to go. The next thing is going to be the local, the GBP review sections. So what we recommend doing here is actually a couple things. So one is click on reviews and see if there are any unanswered reviews. If there are unanswered reviews, either reply to them manually or hit the AI to reply to them. If there are reviews that were created by AI but not published, go to answer, status equals pending review. And then you'll see that there are these reviews that came in that Auto came up with a reply, but we put it as pending review because the team needs to approve it before it goes live. Once you're caught up on all of your reviews, set up your conditional responder. So what this is doing is it's saying anytime a new review comes in, if it's 5 stars, 4, 3, 2, or 1, take the following action. So for example, if a 5-star review comes in, we can say automatically create and post a reply with AI, or automatically create a reply with AI, but put it in my approval queue for my team to review it before hitting publish. And you can also set this up to use a static template, so it can always reply with the same message, or you can have it do nothing because maybe you're doing this manually or offline. If you set it up to have approval or AI, then you can hit view example, and it's going to use these parameters here, right? What is the tone of voice? What is the length? What is the language? And what is the business we're writing for? In this example, the settings are applied for professional and medium. And if you read this and you're like, it's a little too stiff, it's a little too, professional, then all you have to do is adjust your settings and go casual and short. These are the recommended settings I use. And then you generate a new example. It'll give you a sample review and a sample response. This sample response is more direct, it's more human, and it's more natural, which is why I recommend using casual and short. And just setting this up for all of the sections on the tool. And again, if you want to use a static template, or if you want the tool to do nothing, just set that up here. Well, so that's what we're showing you here. Okay, and then the citations, I mean, this process is very straightforward. You just have to follow the steps. You come in here, you go to citation submissions, you hit create, review the business, select all the ones you want to use. If you're on a lower budget and you only have to pick one, my recommendation would be to use Foursquare. It's going to give you the most reach. If the budget's there, then select all. This is a one-time fee of $100. It's not a monthly recurring charge. This is going to pull from your hyperdrive credits that reset every month. And then just follow the steps and go through location, media, contact info, about, social profiles, and hit submit. You have to be very careful before you submit those orders, because that is the information that's going to be used on the citations. So make sure you handle that very carefully before you submit it. Now, one thing I want to mention is the My Task sections in Auto. So all of the items that require approval, reviews, post, question and answers, if you set approval on any of those, all of those are going to go to the My Task sections. So when you're logging in, instead of going section by section by section, just click My Tasks, and it'll show you a list of items that are pending review. So for example, here we'll click review. We'll say, okay, this review came in, it was 3 stars, it was posted on November 29th, a super long form review. And then here's what the AI came up with. If we don't agree with that response, we can generate another reply, or we can hit the edit button and tweak it to what we want the reply to say. And then we'll hit approve reply or delete reply, right? So this section here is where all of your tasks get populated for you, the user, to say approve or delete or edit before posting, right? So this is like your QA layer to make sure that everything is being set up correctly before getting posted to the GDP. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the authority building modules. We did cover these again in some of the other workflows, so I'm just going to go through them a little bit on the quicker side. They're going to be down here under authority building products that leverage hyperdrive credits. The first thing that we're looking at is cloud stacks. So all you need to do to leverage a cloud stack is hit add cloud stack, plug in the target page that you want to use, plug in one anchor text that you want to highlight in that page, and then hit add page. From there, we're going to create the content for you. You're going to land on a menu that looks like this. You're going to hit view and edit content. It's going to show you the title, the description, the image that's being used. You can add a YouTube video, make sure it's the right map, check your question and answers, your link embeds, etc. Then you're going to preview it so you know exactly what it looks like before you submit it out. And once you're happy with everything, you're going to go back to this screen, and you're just going to select the channels, and you're going to hit the publish button. And that's it. I recommend selecting all 13 because there's no difference in cost between doing 1 to 13. So you might as well do all of them. This will consume 20 hyperdrive credits. Again, these credits reset every month. 1 credit is $1. You can purchase additional credits on an as-needed basis, either as one-time top-offs or recurring charges. To do that, you just go to quota available, You see auto hyperdrive, you say top off, and then just decide how many credits do you want, and if you want that to be a one-time fee or a recurring payment or not. Cool. So that's what's being here. Add cloud stacks, one page, one anchor text, generate the content, review the content, preview the page, select the sites, hit publish, and you're good to go. Okay. The next section in here is going to be the press releases. So very similar workflow. You're going to scroll down, you're going to go to press release distribution, and you're going to hit add press release here at the top right. You're going to specify the URL. Here you have the ability to select up to 3 keywords separated by commas. And then you're going to give the AI a prompt for what you want the press release to be about. You do need to have your knowledge graph set up reasonably complete. The things that are going to hold you up here are going to be your email address or phone number, your authors, and not having images or videos. So you will need to make sure that at least those are set up. Again, I do list those out here as well of what you need to have set up so the tool can work. Once you're done with that, the tool is going to create the content for you. You're going to hit publish content. There's this pop-up notification that says you have to view the content before it gets submitted. So you'll hit view content. It'll take you to an editor. You'll see the title, the description, the summary, the body content, the image. If you don't like what the AI created, delete it and plug in your own text, right? You can do whatever you want. The next step is going to be to review your contact information. So make sure this is set up properly as well. Then you can go back and preview the articles. So you'll say, okay, this is what the press release is going to look like. We have our title with the intro, we have our image, we have our body content, we have our logo, our contact information, and our map embed. So now that we're happy with our press release, we're going to go back and say, I have reviewed and I accept the content. You're going to hit continue, select your business category, and then select the channels you want the press release to be distributed. The cost, these are going to use the hyperdrive credits, right? Again, those reset every month. You can add more as needed. One credit is $1. So the cheapest press release you can run is a one-time cost of $15, right? Which is actually very cost effective. If you're selecting multiple channels, like say you have 2 or more channels selected, I would recommend spending the extra 3 credits and doing dynamic press releases. So what happens here is if you select publish single article to all channels, that means all of these outlets will get the same exact version of the press release, a carbon copy. So eventually Google will phase out all the redundant copies because they say, these are just clones, there's nothing original here. Whereas if you do dynamic press releases, then each channel will get an AI version with enough degrees of differentiation so that so that it looks like each channel is getting a unique press release, essentially, right? And that increases the sticky likeliness and the indexation likeliness of these. So if you're doing multiple channels, I would recommend doing dynamic. If you're strapped on budget, then don't do all of these channels, just do one channel and repeat cycle between low-cost channels each month for the same client. And then the tool will track everything for you. It'll report on the press releases, and you'll just have a link here to view when they go live. So very straightforward. Definitely use that tool. Definitely check it out. Both of these options, Cloud Stacks and press releases, are very low. They're probably the cheapest way to get quality backlinks very quickly, right? You can obviously do guest posting, you can do manual outreach, you can go to marketplaces, etc. But it's hard to beat like $15 for a link, right? So definitely check these out. And then this is just kind of showing you all the different steps. Okay. And then the last task that I would really recommend doing is really just reviewing the reports that the tool is creating before sending them out. So what I would suggest here is having an internal account manager or VA assign that person to review the monthly reports before they get sent to the client. That gives the user to edit the reports, gives them the option to edit the reports as needed before they send them out. The pro tip here is to send the automated email reports to that team member. So that way those reports just show up in their inbox and it's easy for them to do that review. Once the internal review is done, you can then share that report with the client or forward it on. If you've tested those reports and you're happy with the format, with the AI summaries, with the way the reports are being presented, then you can remove the internal QA layer and have the automated reports go out to the client directly. But I would strongly encourage you to test the format of the reports before just automatically sending them to your team. So those would be my recommendations. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to pause here for a moment, look through some of the chat and just see if there are any questions. But I'd love to just get some feedback and see, what you guys' thoughts are on this, if there's anything new in here, if there's any questions that are urgent or pressing. Okay, so I'm just going to see a couple questions in here. So there's a question from Pete Thorpe. What do the amount of layers denote in the local heat maps? So the layers are determining the spacing between the pins, right? So again, say we set up a report to target 20 miles, but we only set up 3 layers. Then when we look at these pins, we see that there's so much space between pin 1 and pin 2, pin 3 and pin 4. There's so much of a gap that this report may not be very useful to the client because it's not giving them enough of a breakdown of all of these different locations, right? So if I'm doing 20 miles, then maybe I would set 6 layers. So now I have all this coverage in between the pins, right? So the smaller the radius, the smaller the miles, the fewer layers you need. The larger the radius, the more layers you need. So you're getting more coverage in between the pins. Okay, just kind of looking at some of these other questions. Yep, you guys will definitely get a recording of this, including the slides. Yeah, and the question around citations, yeah, if it's a service area business with no physical address, you will not be able to use the aggregator submissions for that. Can we still do a press release with a site that has not been set up on auto? Not right now, but you can very soon. So for example, if we go to our digital PR tools, you'll see this tool here in alpha called PR distribution. This is in alpha right now. It should be going live to all Search Atlas accounts by the end of this week or early next week. And this is going to allow you to submit press releases outside of auto. So you won't need to have an auto project to use the press release tools, the same way you don't need to have an auto project to use the GBP automation tools, right? So for example, if you're on the pro plan of Search Atlas, that's $3.99 a month. That includes 3 auto projects. So that means you can run the entirety of auto, all of the on-page, off-page, and local business modules within auto for 3 websites. But the pro plan also allows you to have GBP automations for 25 GBPs at no additional cost. So if you're only a GBP warrior and you're just doing like optimizations, post, review, response, etc., you don't need a full auto project to just work on GBPs. If you have an auto project, you can do on-page SEO, off-page SEO, and GBPs. But if you just have GBPs, you can just use these modules as standalone tools. Please explain Cloud Stack. So a Cloud Stack, what is a Cloud Stack? Cloud Stacks are links that are coming from cloud service provider websites. So you can think about Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, GitHub, Blackbox, for Sell. These are all cloud hosting providers. So let me just show you this really quickly. Now, in theory, cloud links are free to create. But there's a few caveats to that statement. 1, you have to know that they're a thing. So you have to know that they exist. 2, you have to know what platforms are available. 3, you have to create your own profiles on those platforms. 4, you have to write your own article. 5, you have to publish that article. 6, you have to send it off to an indexer to get indexed, because those sites do not get indexed the same way Forbes gets indexed, right? So very quickly, what was a free link has now become expensive because you've incurred labor costs along the way to do all of those actions, right? Whereas with auto, we've done all that heavy lifting. So all you have to do is say, target this page, target this keyword, publish those links on these sites, and then we get those links published and we send them to the indexer to get them indexed. The lowest DR of these sites is a 50. The highest DR of these sites is a 92. So for $20, you can build 13 high authority links. They're not the same as guest posts. They're not the same as press releases. So I wouldn't go to my client and say, hey, client, look at this amazing high quality DR 92 link I got you, pay me $1,000. I wouldn't do that because it's not the same as getting them a link on USA Today, Forbes, et cetera, right? But these are really good SEO plays. So they move the needle on authority. If you embed the local maps, it sends signals to the map. If you're embedding, different anchor text to interior pages, it's still sending equity and signals to those pages. So it's a very low cost hedge to get better backlinks at a very cost efficient way. Yes, CloudStack is a type of backlink. Is there a different cost for the GBP tools if you're using them as a standalone? Yes, it kind of depends on the plan that you're on. So let's just kind of look at the pricing thing here really quickly. So if you're on the pro plan of Search Atlas, right, $3.99 a month, that's giving you access to auto for 3 websites, but it's also giving you 25 Google Business Profile automations. So if you need additional GBPs beyond that, then just message us, send us a message on Intercom or email or Slack us, and we can give you a quote for a additional GBPs, right? It's really just based off volume. So the more GBPs you have, the cheaper it's going to get. We just need to know how many do you have. Is it possible to get backlinks to USA Today, et cetera, through Search Atlas? Yes, but not just by clicking a button. So I was hoping we had a little bit of time. So we have a tiny bit of time. I'll show you guys this tool here. So under more, we have this section called digital PR, and we have a whole series of tools in here. So the first tool that you land on is PR outreach. And this is going to show you just a database of 300,000 journalists and over 75,000 media outlets. Now, if you're looking for a particular publisher, let's say Forbes is an example, you'll come in here and you'll search for the word Forbes. Now your list of 300,000 journalists will get shrunk down to, let's say, 1,000 journalists. And these are now all people that either are editors, writers, columnists, contributors, et cetera, to Forbes. They have some working relationship with Forbes. Now, whatever information we have, we present. So for some folks, we have their name, email address, phone number. For others, we just have their LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, right? So whatever information we have on this person, we present to you. Then you just click into their profile, and whatever contact info we have, we share. So this guy, we have his personal site, his Twitter, his Facebook, and his LinkedIn, but we don't have his phone number and email address. But we do have some of his work history as well. So now you can leverage this data set to reach out to this person and connect with them and pitch them on an idea to get you an article, right? So that's option 1. Option 2 is to use these PR automation campaigns. So there's a few workflows here, and I'll just cover this really quickly. A really cool way to use this tool is to actually go to your backlink tool, go to the link gap analysis tool, plug in your competitors, plug in the site that you're working on. You'll land on a list that looks like this. This is going to show you a list of domains that are linking to one or more of your self-identified competitors, but are not linking to the site that you're working on. So this is giving you an extensive list of potential domains to prospect. We're showing you the DAs, the root domain, the spam score, and then the link that the competitor has from that outlet. What I would then do is download this list, and I would categorize these sites and say, which ones are social media links, which ones are partners, which ones are affiliates, which ones are press, which ones are guest posts, which ones are spam, right? So I'm essentially looking for the publishers that are linking to my competitors, but not linking to the site that I'm working on, and I'm getting a list of the root domains. I'm then taking that list of those root domains, I'm going to the PR tools, and I'm creating a new campaign. I'm going to hit Start Campaign. I'm going to create a folder for Client A, right? And then instead of keywords, I'm going to switch to domains. I'm going to paste the list or import from CSV of all of the domains that I've identified that are linking to my competitors, but not linking to me. I'm then going to set some filters and say, hey, I only want, .com, .org, and .edu TLDs. I want sites that have a DR between 40 to 99. They should also have a minimum of 5,000 sessions, right? And you're just setting up all these parameters. Once you set up that parameter, you're going to connect your inbox. So this way, the emails are being sent from you or someone on your team. They're not being sent from us. They're being sent from you. You're going to select either one of our templates of like affiliates, product reviews, broken link building, reciprocal link exchanges. There's all these different templates in here. Or you can build your own template and customize your own drip sequence. And then you're just going to enroll your contacts, right? So now essentially Auto is going to go out there. It's going to review the list of sites that you've given it. It's going to scrape information. It's going to find contact info, and it's going to enroll them in the drip sequence that you've specified to get more guest post or link insertions or reciprocal link exchanges, et cetera, et cetera. So this is essentially taking what we used to do manually with spreadsheets and teams and cold outreach and all this nonsense and building these systems and automations around it. So that way we can lower our cost per acquisition and ideally bring that cost down to zero, right? So it requires a little bit of work. It's a long game, right? It's a volume-based play, but these automations really help. And it's been able to show us like exponential returns because just getting a handful of these sites back just opens up that many more linkable opportunities for our clients. So definitely explore this tool. And we'd love some feedback on it as well if you guys, start using it. Specifically relating to feedback, I just wanted to highlight that we have this product board portal. So what this portal is doing, is it's giving you the option or the ability to give us feature requests, to tell us what you want, to tell us how we can make the tool better for you. So you'll come in here and say, I wish Search Atlas could do X. And you'll say, is it not important? Is it nice to have? Is it important or is it critical? And you submit that. Then it goes to consideration, right? Then our team will circle up at our stand-ups, we'll review all of this and we'll decide which ones are the most important new features or enhancement for us to add to the platform. Then they get added to the roadmap. Then they go from being in the roadmap to being in progress, from in progress to alpha and testing, from alpha and testing to launched. And then when they get launched, we give you a notification here where we're just showing you like, hey, these are the new things that we've added, right? So this is very important, at least for us, and it could be a great option for you guys as well. If you just want to stay in the loop of what we're building, or if you want to provide us with feedback on ways we can make your agency life easier, this product portal board is a great place to do that. Cool, and I'll just put a link to this in the chat, just in case anyone wants to see it or add to it. Cool. Okay, so just looking at the time, I think we're a little bit over our scheduled call. So I'm going to pause here. And Fidan, maybe if you want to do a little wrap up or see if there's any questions or anything like that.
Thank you for keeping until the end and listening to our amazing factory insights from Arma. Leave in the chat how did you find this call, and if you are excited to start implementing these strategies for your agency, leave it in the chat. And if you're free to leave, what would be the your takeaway right after from this call as well. Seems like Ken really loved it. This platform is a beast. Let's call yes. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for sharing love. As you guys know, we record all our calls, so they will be all shared in our SEO Theory community group. So if you haven't joined yet, make sure that you join there, and we will be sharing replays there very soon.
Yeah, and I do recognize that there are a lot of questions in the chat that maybe I didn't get a chance to answer. So best place to get those, because we are strapped on time, just send me an email. I'm putting my email here in the chat. Shoot me a note with any questions you have, or use the intercom chat. Or, as I said, check the knowledge graph or the knowledge base rather, because we have great information here for all of the different tools and products that show you how quotas are consumed, what the edge cases are of different tools, step-by-step screenshots of how you should be leveraging each section. So definitely check the knowledge base. If the knowledge base doesn't have the answer you're looking for, try intercom. These are humans. These are not AI bots. These are people. They will respond to you when they can. If all else fails, hit me up directly. I may be slower to respond than some of these options, but I will respond eventually, I promise.
Okay, amazing. And make sure that you add all our bi-weekly calls to your calendar if you haven't yet, because every bi-weekly we are meeting here. Just to note, we will not have a call on 17th because we are having a partnership call with Partido, which I will be sending the announcement on that on 16th of December. So instead of 17th of December, you guys gonna jump on 16th of December webinar. But after that, all our calls will be still in bi-weekly schedule. And with this link, you can feel free to add it to your calendar. And I feel we covered everything. So thank you so much for joining today's call. I believe you all found it very helpful. And I will see you guys on 16. Bye-bye.